Hey friends, just wanted to let everyone know this episode gets an extra special trigger warning. Warnings for child murder, violence, and some pretty heavy misogyny, homophobia, transphobia. So, if you're not into that right now, I totally understand, but hopefully we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks.
Content warning. On this podcast, we discuss sensitive issues, including but not limited to swearing, tasteless jokes, situations of a sexual nature, and drug use. This podcast is not intended for children. Hello, and welcome to BiblioWrecks, where we read the worst stories the world has to offer, and then with deep regret, come and share it with you.
Yeah.
I'm Bugs.
And I'm BamBam, and I scared Bugs as soon as we started because I did a sound check. And
I was not expecting it. I was off in La La Land.
Snapped my fingers real loud.
Oh, scared the Jesus out of me. So I'm awake.
I'm somewhere in the realm between waking and dreams. You want to ask me what we're doing today?
No, you've been working on this for a while.
Yeah, like 2 months.
Yeah, this reminds me of Eternal River for me, how I worked on it and talked about it for months before finally getting to this point and sitting down.
Yeah, hopefully this won't be that long.
That was such a long episode. Oh my god.
Boy.
So what do we have today?
We're doing Wrath of the Wendigo by Clay Martin.
Can we Wendigo go?
I wish he'd go already. Go and stop living.
This is not a good book.
It's super not a good book. Okay, so the reason that it took me so long to do is because of the way that this book is set up to do the storytelling.
Okay.
So I've kind of tried to put everything together in like
a more
manageable
cohesive way than the book does.
Yeah, because the way the book does it is fucking nonsense.
Gotcha.
We've got 3 main characters here. The first of which, whose point of view we actually follow throughout the whole book, is Agent Jason Marsh. Then there's General Eric Hansen, who is the real main character.
Okay.
And then we got Todd.
Todd.
This story is 10% narrative, 20% war porn, and 70% manifesto.
Oh boy.
And 10% Alex Jones porn. I know that makes it 110%, but this book 110% fucks me right off.
No.
The narrative of the story is really, really simple, like brain dead simple. So we take place in the year 2050.
Futuristic, okay.
Sort of, yeah. Like there's some, it barely comes up.
Oh,
like they've
okay.
got some wrist bracelets that are futury, and that's really all that ever comes up that's futuristic.
Gotcha.
We follow Agent James Marsh. I said he was Jason earlier. I was wrong. It's James.
Oh, James Marsh. Do they call him Jim?
No, they just call him Agent Marsh for most of the
okay.
book. So, yeah,
So it didn't even matter.
Yeah, I kept forgetting his first name anyway. I didn't write down his first name until earlier today, after I'd already finished the notes. So, yeah, we follow Agent James Marsh, who works for the Secret Service for the President.
Okay.
So he's working at the White House. And General Eric Hansen breaks into the Oval Office in order to be captured. And nobody knows how he got in or anything. Now, General Hansen is a general of Cascadia. Cascadia is a made-up country in the Pacific Northwest. And I think it stretches from, like, I think it said Colorado to, like, the Arctic Circle, so it takes up some Canada, too.
This is a region of the U.S.?
Yeah, like specifically, like, the northwest portion of the U.S.
Okay.
And then stretches into Canada.
All right.
So, Hansen's mission is to deliver a message to the globalist elites.
Drink every time you hear that.
Yeah, oh, it's going to happen. You'll die. You'll die if you do that this episode. But he's wanting to his mission is to deliver a message to the globalist elites who actually run the country. The U.S. anyway, because they're...
Then why would you bother with the White House if you're going to go with this whole thing?
Right. Well, he was just doing something like high notoriety to get caught faster or something, I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
So after a lot of interviews and interrogation, Hansen gives up a bit of information that isn't really important, like it's something about his dad who actually did something back during the first war between these two new countries. Mm-hmm. And then he clams up until he's in front of the globalists, so he's kind of just holding information until he gets what he wants, which is to meet the real head honchos.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So this is like already lame spy movie.
Oh my god, it's not even spy movie level. There's no intrigue or anything like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's lame.
So, over the rest of the story, and it's the bulk of the story, Hansen is just expositing old war information and in order to explain the course of politics and why everyone is being controlled by the government. And then
Seriously?
it's like 70% manifesto.
Wow.
After several location changes, Hansen finally delivers a message to the globalists, and it's like really lame. He's like, stop doing the 7G and COVID, but like 24 or some stupid fucking number.
Right, because by then it would have been more than COVID-19.
So he explodes virus blood all over them, and he dies, and then they die, and that's the end of the story.
He explodes?
Yeah, he's got explosives inside him.
Go, man! That's a deep cut, too. No more heroes.
Yeah. I tried my best to forget, but I'm not allowed to.
No, never.
So, the end of the story, the globalists are dead.
Right. So it's basically a get me in front of the right guys so I can deliver a very, very long monologue and then blow myself up, thus killing them.
Oh, no, he doesn't even do this monologue in front of the globalists. Like, he's just doing all this exposition for, like, the Secret Service guy and a couple of different other people throughout the course of the story, because it changes locations, like, several times. They just don't fucking matter, because they're always doing the same thing, which is just listening to Hansen talk.
Good grief.
So it's really frustrating. So the story is so short because the vast majority of it is Hansen delivering exposition and trying to pass on to the reader, I guess, the like 30 years of this QAnon psychosis, I guess.
Because it's the idea of what will happen in the future.
Right. Well, this was written in 2020.
Right.
So this was right after Trump didn't get elected.
Oh.
So this is kind of a response to that, yeah.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, at the beginning of the book, there is an author's note. This guy claims that mountain spirits told him to write this story. Like, he plays it off like he was initially resistant to it.
Mm-hmm.
But then he got like a really strong sign, and he doesn't say any more than that in the book. But in an interview on the Book Brilliant podcast, Clay relates a story, and I believe it's the story he's referencing in the book. Mm-hmm. It's him holding a drill with the drill bit like sticking out, so he's like holding it from the top and just standing there. Mm-hmm. And then his son walks up to like hug him and like doesn't see the drill bit or something and almost pokes his eye out, but he doesn't poke his eye out. That's the important thing. He like just hits like the bridge of his nose a little bit.
Okay.
And but this to him was clearly a sign that Odin of Norse mythology fame, who, because he had one eye, decided this was a sign that he needs to get to work writing this book.
Because
and also
his son almost got a damaged eye.
Almost, but did not. And also, he said he would go to like work outside or something and it would rain, and that was a sign for him to go work on the book instead. Woo!
I wonder if that excuse worked for his wife.
I don't think
I can't clean up the yard, hon. It's raining, and that means I must write this book.
I don't think this man consults his wife at all. So this goes to show this guy actually believes a lot of this nonsense ideology that he pushes in this book, at least to me.
This is kind of giving me the January 6th, that shaman guy who had the funky buffalo horns.
Yeah, I kind of got that vibe too when I looked at the front page or the title picture for the book, because it's a deer skull, and behind it is like an American flag with a bunch of Norse Celtic runes on the flag instead of stars.
Right.
It looks like shit.
Okay. So we're going to take a variety of old European mythologies and then cram them into our current political ideology and mix in a ton of conspiracy.
Yeah, pretty much.
This sounds like Alex Jones' guest.
Yeah, this guy, I feel like he really loves Alex Jones. Like, in that interview, he actually brought up Alex Jones.
Oh, as like an inspiration? Or
I don't know about an inspiration. I think he just mentioned him.
Oh, okay.
So, I didn't watch the entire podcast because I got sick.
Right.
So, at the end of this author's note, he poses a question to the reader. Is it the like, he claims he doesn't know what the meaning of this story is or why it's important, but he feels it's important. And he says, is it the future, a rallying cry, or a Sodom and Gomorrah level warning?
Quick question. Roughly how old is this guy?
I think he's like late 30s, early 40s, from what I can tell. I couldn't find a strict age.
So, millennial, not boomer.
Yeah.
Interesting.
He could be mid-40s. I really couldn't tell. I didn't find like a specific age that I can remember. Yeah, the answer to the Sodom and Gomorrah level warning question, I've got the answer, and this is stupid racist trash.
Yep.
And among other things, but that's foremost what it is, I think. The three main characters are all just author inserts, I think. Mm-hmm. At no point does anyone really argue with the message that Hansen is coming with. Everyone secretly thinks he's right. Mm-hmm. And I think it's because the author doesn't really have like the imagination to necessarily adopt any view but his own.
Right. It's like Christian apologetics who have really, really lame arguments because they can't actually contend with a differing worldview.
Yeah, they believe in God, and so does everyone else. They're just lying.
Yeah, or just mad at God. Or whatever.
Right.
And the idea that someone doesn't believe in these conspiracy ideas is just... And he probably is in that bubble.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he absolutely is. Like, he is nakedly talking about the beginning of a civil war in this podcast. And, yeah, a lot of this stuff kind of borders on treason a little bit. A lot of the themes in this book, so...
I mean, J6.
Yeah. At the beginning of the story, we're following Agent Marsh, and Agent Marsh should be our audience surrogate. He's someone who lives in the U.S. and should... The way a lot of this works, usually, when you've got an audience surrogate, you come in with, like, the normative view.
Right.
Someone who believes all of the political and social ideas that are on that side, and over the course of the story, be convinced by Hansen's arguments and points.
Right.
So that's the way this kind of thing should be structured and worked. But, like, first thing in the story, from Marsh's perspective, there's a trans person being discussed, and Marsh refers to it, because we're always in his point of view, refers to that person as it. Always.
What the hell?
Mm-hmm. And this is a person that lives in this society, but no one in this society actually believes all the ideology, so...
This is such like Alex Jones. Alex Jones never actually convinces anyone. He's always like, you know, and they were like secretly my supporters the whole time. And it's impossible to actually pin down.
Yeah, it's just spoon-feeding people confirmation for their beliefs.
Yes.
That's all that is, and that's all this is.
Yeah.
This is for the guys that already believe this shit, and specifically guys. I can't imagine this being targeted toward any female.
Right. Unless they're Lauren Boebert or Ann Coulter.
Yeah, I mean, there's always someone. The next character, Eric Hansen, I think he is the main author insert here. His entire hook is that no one knows how he got into the Oval Office, and then later for him to sacrifice himself for the greater good after delivering mind-changing exposition over the course of the story. And he's like this 35-year-old fit soldier. Because I believe that's roughly what the author is.
Or wants to be.
Yeah. Well, he actually was a former Marine. He's a retired Marine.
Oh, was he? Oh, wow.
Yeah, and from what I could tell on that podcast, I mean, reasonably in shape.
Right.
So I think this is the direct author insert for him.
Gotcha. Okay.
So the reason he got picked for this assignment is because this character is dying of cancer, but also in the story, he gets in like 2 fistfights where he obviously wins because...
Main character.
A much better decision and a much stronger decision, in my opinion, would be if this character were like an old man. That would kind of increase the intrigue around how he got into the Oval Office if he's just some kind of old guy. Because we never find out how he got into the Oval Office.
What?
That was just a lead that led to nothing.
Oh.
So that
lame.
sucks. So if you could have just left it at that and it would have mattered, that would make a lot more sense in the story, because all of this exposition would have been like first-hand experience instead of Marsh's point of view watching Hansen deliver someone else's point of view.
Right. Huh.
So if it had been like a first-hand account, that would have made like a lot more sense. Because he goes like in and out of one character's perspective to another character's perspective. Like we'll be like in the 2020s with Todd, and then we'll shift right back out to Hansen, and then we see Marsh's point of view of Hansen as he's doing that. And it's fucking stupid.
Weird.
The last author insert is Todd. He's the character that is in the past in the story, which is our current day. And most of what he does is create a military terrorist group that eventually becomes the new country of Cascadia.
Oh. Is this like the separatist Texas fantasy that some people have of Texas seceding and becoming its own country?
Kind of, but more terroristy.
Well,
like I'm putting hard emphasis on the terrorist here.
Right.
So the rest of this is going to be me just kind of giving little snippets of the story, because I've basically given the outline of the story.
Right.
And it's basically just not there, because the rest of this is just manifesto junk. So
it's a manifesto wrapped in pretend, like supposed fiction.
Like the narrative is just like
that's just propaganda.
Yeah, this is definitely propaganda.
Jeez.
In the first interrogation, there is a trans person who is, I think, DC police or something like that.
Okay.
After Hansen has been arrested, and her name is Michelle. Hansen only calls her Michael or Damon.
Great.
Calls her Damon.
Like demon?
Yeah. Well, now he claims that it's different. I don't know what the difference is, because the only things I could look up and find were just demon in an archaic form of spelling.
Yeah.
Or it's just a neutral spirit.
Okay.
But he makes this big point and then never clarifies what the difference between a daemon and a demon is, so...
Right. Sounds like he's just being a dick either way.
Yeah, he is. Hansen sees this trans person just being in the room as an implied threat of rape, because he's sitting naked in a chair in this cold interrogation room.
Okay.
But there's also like another dude in the room, so I don't know why that person would be more likely to rape you than the other one.
Yeah.
I think it's just kind of that homophobia thing that a lot of guys used to have, which I guess I'm sure some still do, but just thinking that gay guys just want to fuck you.
And
like, no matter who you are, as long as you're a guy.
Means gay or
something. I feel like this guy
Right.
very much puts them in the same bucket.
Right. So a lot of focus is put on the trans person being trans.
Yeah, that's the only thing. This person only has like one line, and it's just to inform the other guy in the room that something outside has happened or something. Other than that, this character never speaks. Basically just takes verbal abuse from the author insert and stays quiet. There's no argument to be had for this guy or anything like that. So, yeah, it really sucks. Basically, this guy just stood up like a trans scarecrow so that he could yell at it.
Right. And in the story, because he wrote it, everyone approves of his behavior.
Yeah, everyone else also thinks of this character as it or...
Genders.
Yeah, misgenders.
The whole time. Lovely.
So Hansen then starts explaining how the war between the U.S. and Cascadia started back after the 2020 election being stolen and the globalists taking control and tactically seeding refugees in places that are not loyal to the globalists. So, like, these kind of podunk, mostly white towns.
They're invading us by going to school.
Yeah, basically.
And working at the grocery store.
This one particular situation, they don't even make it into the town.
What? Because
the character Todd, he has set up a protest in a town in Idaho. And there's a detail of soldiers accompanying a bus full of Somalian refugees on the way to this town in Idaho.
Right.
Todd warns them not to cross the bridge or they'll die.
Rude.
Yeah. And, tells that to the soldiers, tries to tell the Somalians, and they refuse to listen to him. They cross anyway, and then the bridge explodes and they all die.
What?
Because Todd and Hansen's dad set up a bunch of C4 charges to blow the bridge as they were crossing.
Oh my god, terrorist is an understatement.
Yeah, and according to Hansen, they couldn't possibly... God, I wish that was the worst thing that happened to people in this book. God damn it, I wish that was the worst. It gets so much worse. Fuck. Okay. I'm gonna have a time. Okay. So they directly wanted to send a message that if they send people to this town, they're going to kill them. So they've already decided in their minds that this is war, so that makes war crimes okay. That's the logic that Hansen feeds to Marsh and everybody else in the interrogation room.
Never mind, these are civilians. Yeah. And like families and children. Oh, God.
So this is a through line in the story. Pretty consistently, if someone is not a part of the military in some way, like not even the same military, this guy just tends to treat people that aren't in the military as lesser.
Right.
So that's the sense I get. This guy is like super warmongering. Later in the story, I get the sense, like, he starts talking about religion and stuff. I don't think it matters what religion it is as long as it's violent to this guy.
Ugh, great.
So some years before the bridge bomb, we go back even further into Todd's backstory. Todd retired from the military because he couldn't accept daemons and other deviants in his army.
Because it is his. It belongs to him personally.
Yeah. He's a lieutenant colonel.
He's the most important person in the military.
But he's a lieutenant colonel, and I don't know that that's like hugely high up, but I don't really know military rank either. So
right. Like, it's probably important, but it's not like 5-star general or whatever they have at the time.
Right. So,
and even then, it's not their military.
So Todd retires, and he starts having a realization that most people are cattle, and the rest that weren't cattle were slowly going extinct, and decides that immortality can only be achieved through children.
By having children.
By having children, yeah. So Marsh, at this point, he's being told this by Hansen. He makes a joke that Todd was a pedophile, because, just saying it like the way he said it.
Yeah.
Hansen informs him that pedophiles are killed in their country, and the father flogged for not preventing it. And I want to focus on that for a second. Cascadia. Cascadia is the country. So, this is stupid for a lot of reasons. The first thing that comes to mind, like, this stuff is, like, so shallow. And this is
Yeah.
an example of that. The first thing that comes to my mind is it could be an incentive to a child to be quiet if they were to be molested or something like that in order to protect their father from getting flogged.
Also, to protect the molester from getting killed.
Yeah, if they had some sort of empathy toward the molester or something like that.
Right. But that's often a line of abuse that they will use is, if you tell anyone, I'll get in trouble, and you'll get in trouble,
Yeah.
and then we'll never get to be together anymore. And, like, because there's a lot of emotional
Manipulation.
groundwork and manipulation that happens before things...
The actual assaulting.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's just something that pretty immediately can be shown or explained to, like, that this kind of thing could possibly cement, like, a safe place for pedophiles in the society. So, yeah, it's just really dumb.
And it's such a weird right-wing fantasy to think if we ran the government, there would
we
be
would
no
just
more
murder more
molesters.
people and that would fix everything.
All the pedophiles would be gone because we would just kill all of them. And it's like, but you look at the actual systems and organizations that are full of pedophiles, like the Catholic Church and the Southern Baptist Convention, and a lot of them are very conservative.
Yeah, this next part actually kind of goes into that kind of evocation. So, this place where Todd is retired, he's got a neighbor who physically abuses his kid.
Oh.
Like, beats him. I don't think he, like, molests
The
him or
neighbor
anything.
beats his own child.
Right.
Not, okay.
Yeah,
not
Todd doesn't
Todd's
beat the
kid.
child, as far as I know.
Well, the neighbor doesn't beat Todd's kid.
Right. As far as I know,
Too
at this
many
point, Todd
he's.
doesn't have any.
His, he.
Todd later disappears this guy. Well, he, like, beats the shit out of him, out of this neighbor, and then disappears him, presumably leaving the child alone.
And now fatherless.
Yeah, but he does say that he, like, talks to the kid, and he seems fine. But helping this kid seems secondary to this guy just wanting to kill somebody.
Dexter.
Yeah.
I can murder him if I saw him do something bad.
After this, Todd dips into spiritualism and fucks off to Iceland, where a shaman lady teaches him rune casting and says he has big magic.
Of course.
Yeah.
He's the best boy.
Do you know what rune casting is?
I would guess it's similar to, like, casting bones for soothsaying.
Basically, it's just dice rolling. Even more simply, it's basically just horoscopes for Viking dorks, which this guy super is. So it's literally just dice rolling that they think tells them the future.
You know who will always read your horoscope and tell you you're going to become rich and famous? And maybe they'll give us money for ads.
Yay!
Hello, Biblio fans, friends, and fiends. Just taking a moment to tell you how to find our growing community. We're on Facebook and Instagram, where I try to post pretty often. And we have a subreddit that we will start using as soon as BamBam gets over his crippling fear of Reddit. And of course, our YouTube. Look us up at BiblioWrecks. We would love to hear suggestions and chat about bad books there, as well as over email, BiblioWrecks@gmail.com. That's spelled BiblioWrecks. Thank you for listening. Now let's get back to that bad book.
And we're back from subpar ad pivots.
Sorry, I'm not on my game today.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted.
There is no game today, only hell for me. So, yeah, about these horoscopes, or rune casting, or whatever. Hansen mentions later in the story that that's how they plan out their year in Cascadia.
Oh, this is the country's religion thing?
Basically, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Someone says, yeah, isn't that crazy? You're running your country based off of literal random numbers. They say magic numbers, but what they should be saying is random numbers.
Right.
Hansen retorts, what about all your economic advisors and stuff like that? Don't they just come up with magic numbers? I'm like, that's not the same thing at all.
Well, economics is shit, so...
I mean, sure. But I'd much rather someone go in with an educated guess than a literal fucking dice roll.
Yeah. So he's equating his
Tarot for dudes.
Tarot for dudes with degrees that you have to get a bachelor's or master's or doctorate to go actually give advice to the government. Because they're the same.
Yeah.
Okay. Are any of these people, like, high up in the government of Cascadia?
Hansen kind of is.
Okay.
Do you mean just which characters?
Yeah. Because it's like...
Marsh and Todd hasn't created Cascadia at this point. Marsh isn't in it. He's part of the U.S.
Right. But these other guys personally go and learn rune casting, and it becomes the religion of Cascadia?
Basically. Well, I think Todd kind of instilled that as it was being created. So I think that's how it began. Todd got into it, and then it was his interest, so it became his country's interest, basically.
So is this whole country just Todd? Because
Kinda.
that's what it feels like.
Well, the country is actually kind of something else. The country is basically like Viking Reddit.
Oh no!
It's really terrible.
Oh, and they all have shaved sides of their heads and long braids on top.
Yeah, like Hansen, whenever he's introduced, he's got like he's got the big beard, shaved side of the head. He's got braid down the middle. God. Yeah. I really feel like this author really wanted that character to be Ragnar Lothbrok from the History Channel Viking series.
Yeah.
Because he's really written that way, and it pisses me off.
Oh, feels like they pulled some Game of Thrones, like, ideas from two. Like, oh, good grief.
Yeah, Todd went to Iceland, got told he's got bit magic, and then he comes home and...
This is such white guy.
It really is. He thinks he's so fucking special.
Good grief.
So, yeah, he comes home and cooks up a unifying religious theory in which all myths, legends, and faiths are in some part true.
Oh, never heard that one before.
And that the forces of light and darkness control certain factions at certain times throughout the course of human history. Wow.
Are you in your first philosophy class, my dude?
Yeah.
Smoke your first joint?
I remember thinking that there were other religions beside Christianity and trying to square that circle. Basically, Todd is using his politically biased, nuanced, lacking 21st century perspective to judge whether a culture was good or bad in a very black and white fashion.
Right.
So he starts...
This system that I just made up will be the thing that we judge all other societies and humans and ideologies on from now on.
Yeah.
I have seen all. He sounds like an egotistical asshole.
He really is. He sucks. All these characters suck and this author sucks. So he starts with saying whenever human sacrifice was taking center stage in a culture, because he's gonna give you like little tips. Yeah,
that it's abortion.
Hold on, no. Not going. Nope, it's not going there. Hold on, just give me a minute. He doesn't like abortion, but that's beside the point. Okay. That comes in later.
Okay, I'm trusting you.
Anytime human sacrifice takes center stage, these were the more obviously evil cultures. So you can go back and look at them from the present day and be like, oh, well, they were definitely terrible. I think this is like a jab at the Aztecs in particular, because he brings them up later. And this is a really weird point to make, because this guy is taking like a lot of Scandinavian and Celtic culture to create his new country. Which is weird, because in Celtic and Nordic culture, there was a lot of human sacrifice. There was like a whole thing. There's like a big carnival ritual thing that in Norse culture they would do. They would buy slaves, and then if they didn't have enough of their own people to sacrifice, they would bring in some of the slaves and supplement. So I don't know why the Aztecs in particular are being picked on. I'm just kidding. I know. Don't worry, I'll get to it.
It couldn't be because of the location of the sun and how that affects skin tone.
Couldn't be because of all the melanin or anything.
Or languages that he doesn't like.
Right. So he goes through a couple of different examples. Islam used to be good, and at some point it stopped being good and taken over by the forces of darkness or whatever. Cortez. You know who Cortez is?
Yeah.
Okay. Apparently he was a good guy.
No, he was not. He killed a lot of people.
But he killed the Aztecs, and they were the bad guys.
The invading force who murders people was good.
Yeah,
and
for
people
profit
defending
and
themselves,
to enslave, yeah.
Those were the bad guys, yeah.
In North America, at the same time, Todd claims that the Iroquois in North America were 100 years away from making a societal breakthrough and beating back the darkness for like 1,000 years or something. Number one, how Todd could know that from his point of view in the future doesn't make any fucking sense. How does he know?
What does that even mean? What kind of breakthrough?
Doesn't say.
Oh.
Just broadly, yeah. He doesn't get into any super specifics. But on top of that, the Iroquois were not like a united people.
Right.
Iroquois...
Wasn't that a nation, not a specific
No,
tribe?
it's not even that. Iroquois is a lingual group.
Oh.
Yeah, and a lot of there's a big lingual group that's connected on the eastern side of the United States and into Canada a little bit. And all of those languages are related. Like there's Algonquian, Cherokee, a bunch of other languages that are all just related, and so they got labeled Iroquois.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't make sense.
Anyone from South America just speaks Spanish.
Right.
They all speak Spanish.
Yeah. That's basically what he's doing.
Okay.
But
gotcha.
he doesn't know that, so he thinks that the Iroquois are like an interconnected society like that.
Gotcha.
At this point, he's painting the Iroquois to be like the good guys. So he doesn't say that all the brown people are bad. So Marsh points out to Hansen that he must think that their European ancestors were evil. Nay. Hansen does not think that. He says that the Europeans that came to America were just an unwitting cudgel wielded by the darkness. Yeah, and it was a cudgel that freely stole, raped, and murdered without remorse.
Well, how come they get a pass and the Aztecs don't?
Just 'cause.
Right? Like, how does that make a bloody lick of sense?
It doesn't. So he just had to insert that little bit in there so that he didn't seem like he was being too down on the Europeans and possibly agreeing that maybe something that the Europeans did was fucking terrible.
Weird. Mm-hmm. Okay, just weird.
Yep. So we move on. Genghis Khan, or Genghis Khan as most people know him. Mm-hmm. Apparently a good guy. He doesn't say why.
What? Really? Wait.
He doesn't explain himself. I don't know why he says he's a good guy.
How does he pick who he thinks is good?
How violent they are.
But the Aztecs were violent.
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know what he's...
Cortez was violent.
Cortez was definitely violent. Well, he says Cortez was a good guy.
I know.
Because he killed... Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
Okay. I'm going to have an aneurysm. What? What?
Yeah, imagine reading this. I read this fucker 4 times.
Oh my god. Okay.
I had to take a break from doing this book to do another book.
I think you have me beat on Eternal River, because I think I read it 3 times.
Yeah. And this book is so short, too. This book is only like 5 hours long.
Right. Did you listen to it or read it?
No, I listened to it. And I think 5 hours roughly equates to probably 250 pages or something.
Okay.
So not huge, but not tiny.
Right.
But the first 2 times I had to listen to it again, and I was flabbergasted both times. I was like, who the fuck writes this? Surely someone's playing a joke, right? This is sarcastic, and nope, super isn't.
Right. This can't be real.
Yeah.
Who could possibly think this way in real life?
So at this point, Hansen starts defending monarchy for some reason.
What?
Because a king could only abuse so many people at a time until, for the sake of self-preservation, he had to stop.
That's not even true.
No, it super isn't. Like, I don't think he understands how feudalism works.
No.
Like, there's a whole legion of, like, lords and stuff underneath the king that do the abuse for him.
Yeah.
This guy just doesn't know anything, and he pushes that off on every fucking body else.
I'm just guessing. This is just me being mean.
But
He sounds homeschooled. This sounds like history stuff I grew up reading, like Abeka. This sounds like Abeka history.
Yeah.
And then Alex Jones in high school, like I had. I'm sorry, I don't know the dude, but
it seems very likely. I couldn't find a whole lot on his personal life other than he's married and has some kids and 5 acres of land. That's all I really could dig up on him. So yeah, he brings this up as a comparison to the merchant class. Do you hear it?
Merchant class. You had
Now, hold on.
What?
Okay, so he says the merchant class who only care about profit.
Oh,
you heard it. You heard the dog whistle, didn't you? You heard the anti-Semitic dog whistle, didn't you?
Yes. Bankers with long noses. Oh, God.
So yeah,
damn.
he doesn't say it directly, but yeah,
Anti-Semitic.
I'm pretty certain this is an anti-Semitic dog whistle.
Yeah.
So then he starts going into the Cold War and the two factions of globalists that are vying for supremacy at this point until they make it to space and realize there's basically nothing there. So they have to truce and plan to advance automation to the point that a minimum number of slaves could maintain the globalists' hedonistic paradise. Is the way this is set up.
I'll bet this guy likes Elon Musk and doesn't see the irony.
Probably. So Todd lays out the rough globalist plan in the form of a racist screed.
Good white man must have all the good white babies with a good white woman so that we can outbreed the bad brown people.
Gosh, you're not ready. I'm not sure if anyone's ready. So he starts with Asians.
What?
Broadly. No, hold on. Let me get into it. He starts with Asians, who, according to him, are already culturally wired to be subservient. The Chinese especially. So, yeah, that doesn't even cover, like, the fact that India is part of Asia, and that's... So, the plan is for the Asia to be the slave hub.
This is what he's saying the globalists want.
Yeah.
But he had to write that down and think that in his head.
Europe would be for society and culture because clearly Europeans invented both of those things. They were the first and the only, obviously. And North America, for some reason, would be a vacation retreat. I don't know why.
Yeah, like why? We don't have that many
there are some
beaches.
neat sites, but Fiji exists.
Yeah, in Costa Rica. And Hawaii. What?
He says that the globalists think that Europe and North America would be the problems. So he just writes off China altogether.
Because they won't resist because they're the slave race.
Sorta, yeah. But not only that, the idea of individual sovereignty and self-rule were native only to Europeans.
Yeah, the ones who had feudal lords for centuries.
Yeah, and monarchy.
The ones who still have kings.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then he, like, just to make sure he covers all his bases, he makes sure to clarify that Athenians are also Europeans. Because that was...
Greeks?
Yeah, Greeks. Because that is widely considered the birthplace of democracy was in Greece. So he has to make sure, like, Greece is definitely considered European, which I guess it kind of is, but there's so much removed from ancient Greece.
So much history has happened in between.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know that you could really make that argument make any fucking sense. But he's just going off right now. The globalists plan to destroy Europe, which I'm sure you've heard this one before, because I've heard it a lot. They would import Africans and Arabs to use those countries' tax system to support them. So this is just the Somalian refugees all over again. This also serves as a humiliation ritual for those countries. And here's a direct quote. Systematic rape gangs ran rampant in the capital cities of every civilized European country by 2015.
You know, just recently they had race riots in the UK because of this exact rhetoric.
Well, I've heard about this rhetoric before, and I think part of it, I think it was Sweden in particular, they have a much more comprehensive definition for rape. That kind of thing could make it to where women feel more safe to report, so they report more often. So it's actually kind of a good thing.
Right.
I don't know how true that is, but that was the perspective I heard, because I've heard this talking point from conservatives before.
Okay, so the thesis of this book is that the globalists have this evil plan to ship in foreigners to take over your jobs and infiltrate and make your white country not white anymore.
Yeah.
So to defend themselves from the globalists, they murder the refugees.
They have to murder the refugees. Right. I don't know what you don't understand.
And it's the good guys who
that are murdering refugees.
Children.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I'm fairly certain this is the worst book I've ever read. And I've read Wings of a Butterfly.
That was less culturally evil.
Yeah. No, this is
maybe. This is...
Moving on. I have to move on because
yes, I agree, yes.
This guy just brings shit up and it just goes on about it because it's a fucking manifesto is all this is.
Remind me of the name of this book.
Wrath of the Wendigo.
And what does that have to do with any of this?
At one point, Todd fights a Wendigo.
And that is a Native American...
Yeah, it's a Native American legend. And in pop culture, it's presented as like this skeletal figure with antlers and a deer skull.
Deer skull, yeah.
And I don't think it's actually that in Native American culture, because the story is for a Wendigo. The way the story goes is there was a guy and his family. It was wintertime. They ran out of food. The guy had to eat his wife and children, and he became a sad, vengeful spirit.
Right.
And he was ostracized, and he just stayed hungry all the time, and that's how that legend went.
Right. So that he just picked the name of a Native American story.
I think he picked it because he thought it looked cool on the cover of his book. And he wanted the visuals?
Yeah. Okay.
Because the Wendigo barely comes up.
Well, because it seems like since he has all these Norse mythologies and religious beliefs, it wouldn't make sense.
Yeah, this guy just likes appropriating cultures to suit himself, I guess.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Then the plan to destroy North America would be to attack the economy and the energy sector, whatever.
The things that make them money.
Right. So Todd just knows this shit.
Yeah.
And starts creating an army, but thinks 60% of Americans are useless or have been made useless by the system. Yeah, because that whole welfare queen thing. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Of
course.
Everybody's on food stamps, and nobody picks themselves up by their bootstraps anymore.
Yeah.
Todd is actually secular-minded, but thinks religion is the best way to concrete his army together.
Okay.
Like, he thinks about just using Christianity because there's a lot of that, and he thinks that is like heretical. And if you're like secular, you don't think anything is heretical, so that doesn't make any sense.
You would just use whichever one is easiest.
Right.
And a lot of people in the U.S. are Christian already.
Right. So he can't even take the tactical road there, which is what he's...
That's basically what Trump did, because Trump was, as far as we know, an atheist in the 80s and 90s.
Right.
He had no interest in religion. He doesn't even know how to say the names of Bible books. And then he just uses the imagery to make people believe he is a Christian like them.
So yeah, it's a similar playbook. But yeah, for some reason he thinks it's still heretical. So he's trying to flavor it more Norse-ish, but there are also Christian people that he is recruiting right now.
He makes everyone sit down and watch Vikings, and that's their introduction.
Well, no, he's setting this whole country up, but he's like introducing schisms into it before it even starts.
To create infighting, or...
I don't know that was the intention, but that's what happens when you do that.
Huh.
So he's like basically like picking like a handful of guys to start this army cult in separate areas, and they can use whatever religion they want, and that's definitely not going to cause it. He brings it up that that's going to cause infighting. I don't know why you would introduce a schism at the very beginning. That's stupid.
Right, because you would rather have unity, especially at the beginning.
Right. So this is just stupid, and it's mainly stupid because of the implausibility.
Yeah.
Then he starts going on about what he thinks is wrong with modern day Christianity.
Oh, do tell.
Yeah, I'll tell you, all right. It's because they're not bad enough. Christians took hate the sin, love the sinner too far because abominations, parentheses, gay people and trans people, were allowed in church.
Oh, wow.
Another quote, fueled by feminization, this saw Christians spending an unbelievable amount of money to bring in refugees, many of whom would behead them for an unkind word about Allah.
This guy's never actually read the original stories about Loki, has he?
Probably
and Loki
not.
Turning into a horse and getting pregnant.
Yeah. Probably not.
Because there's a lot of gay shit in Norse mythology.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, super is.
He just picks whatever he wants. He thinks
he's just cherry
that
picking
all
shit.
of culture and all of religion is a buffet, and he can go through and take the breadsticks and ice cream and ignore anything else.
Yeah, basically.
But Islam is the summation of all of its worst people and worst beliefs. And Christianity is the summation of its softest, nicest people. Anyone who's Aztec was just a bloodthirsty murderer.
Yeah, basically. It'd be nice if the Aztecs could speak on that.
I mean, they're still Aztec people.
Yeah,
They're just,
but most of their culture had to be
Incas.
rediscovered.
Yeah.
Because it was
They were
so thoroughly destroyed.
Yeah.
So, I'm sad now. I'll continue on.
Let's stop for a sad break from our sad sponsors.
I'm so sad.
Sadness. Didn't those ads just lift your spirits?
Yeah.
Didn't those just cheer you right up?
Sure did. As I've established, this guy doesn't really care about good or bad. He just thinks being violent is morally correct.
Right.
Regardless of context.
How do you like this beanie I crocheted?
That's a nice beanie.
It is lumpy.
Lumps hold in more warmth. It's fine. So they start recruiting for this army cult. And one of the rites of passages to weed out like cops and stuff is to do a drive-by shooting in an inner city. Specifically in an inner city.
Like, let's go kill black kids.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
And they think that'll stop the cops.
Well, yeah. Fuck, I didn't think of that. Shit. Yeah, allegedly, according to this guy, this is a low probability of death situation. I don't see how you can possibly know that.
Well,
like,
plus,
you're just shooting
at... the kids have guns and shoot back at you?
Yeah.
If you're going into gang territory or whatever?
But we're already establishing that it's okay to shoot at certain people and possibly kill them. But he's doing shit like this to, number one, weed out potential cops or feds, and two, to build confidence for his new recruits. Because whether they kill somebody or not, it's a success. So it's kind of just like building it's like when you're building a kid's confidence.
Scaffolding. We're going to scaffold their skills.
Right. Also, they would torch antagonistic newspapers, so no freedom of the press apparently, and charity buildings.
Jesus.
Yeah. I don't know how you do that, how you possibly write that as your good guys and not see that you're the villain in the story. It's fucking weird, man. I don't understand.
That's insane.
Yeah, I don't know how you say the words, I burned down a charity building and still think you're in the right. I don't get it. Like, he doesn't even say anything bad about it. Like, he said an antagonistic newspaper, so I understand the motive, but a charity building?
Yeah.
I have no idea. Like, apparently charity is the opposite of violence, so charity must be bad.
Or it's increasing the socialism issues in the country.
Yeah.
Like welfare queen does something.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, they're just they're doing
milk
literal...
of human kindness. Whatcha?
Right. But yeah, they're just
you
doing...
You smiled at me. Whatcha? You gave that bum $5. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, other policies.
No money for the sea turtles or you.
Other policies. Outspoken, quote, demons are to be Epsteined. Because he does a line earlier in the story.
Epstein didn't kill himself.
Yeah. Well, he makes a point earlier in the story that trans people are more likely to kill themselves, or at least I think that's what he's referencing. So that's what that's about, which is true. Trans people are more likely to commit suicide, and it's very sad.
It's because society is dicks to them.
Yeah, because people treat them like this.
Yeah, like that society is specifically what causes that reality.
Yeah. Yeah. Then they'll go shoot looters in riots, and then frame the police.
Okay.
To cause uproar and distrust of the police. Mm-hmm. So...
Oh, is this like those guys during the George Floyd protests who were wearing the Hawaiian shirts? What were those guys called or something? If I think of it, we can come back.
Okay. This is all leading up to the globalists reinstalling feudalism, but with technology this time, and organic food.
Ooh.
Because even the globalists think that pesticides are bad.
Organic bananas.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So he talks about globalists being physically weak technologists. Mm-hmm. And it's weird. It's like he's trying to pick a fight with these fictional guys. And he's like, I bet they've never been in a street fight in their life and stuff like that.
This is so much Alex Jones.
Yeah, it really is.
This is just so much.
Yeah.
Because he does that all the time. Mm-hmm. I could beat him in a fight. I'll bet they never beat anyone half to death.
But yeah, I feel like both him and Alex Jones are insecure about like software developers being like more intelligent and successful than them is what I feel like that is.
Mm-hmm. I don't understand where people will hate Bill Gates because of the Bill Gates Foundation and running Microsoft and whatever, and then love Elon Musk.
Yeah. Well,
with his Neuralink and Tesla and all this stuff.
Right. That's more or less basically Todd's whole deal is doing a lot of this stuff. Most of the battles leading up to the creation of Cascadia kind of read like, and then my Cobra Commander sneaks up and blows up your helicopters. And then his guns are so big that you guys run away. They run away or so scared. That's what it reads like. It's just, it's like he's just playing soldiers and he's telling you his headcanon for his toys.
Yep.
So a couple of the notable things from that entire section. Todd exchanges a lot of info on America to Russia for like funds and guns.
What?
Yeah, it really solidifies the whole terrorist thing.
I do not understand right-wingers liking Russia.
I don't get it. This is like 2020, so that was still kind of a hot thing. So yeah, they claim they aren't traitors to America, but enemies to the globalist, and I don't know what the fucking difference is when you're killing Americans.
Yeah.
So
that makes no sense.
Yeah, it's crazy. So here's the craziest fucking thing. Probably... This shit was so crazy the first couple of times I read this, I didn't even clock it. Because it just didn't make any sense, and I just couldn't conceptualize it.
Okay.
So one of the missions that these alleged freedom fighters do is murder an entire school of children on an Air Force base. Yeah.
What?
So the later rationalization for this is that it was an us or them thing, which doesn't make any sense because at no point prior to this was there a threat on like Cascadian children or like these terrorist people's children or anything like that. So this is just preemptive child murder at best.
Are they at war with American soldiers?
Yeah, because they've at this point they've had like American soldiers like sent after them and stuff like that.
So this was just terrorism against American soldiers' families.
Yeah. So this was just them like trying to send like a message of ruthlessness so that the soldiers wouldn't like come after them as quickly or something.
Ah, yes, you've never watched John Wick or
I can't
a
imagine
Mel Gibson movie.
I couldn't possibly imagine like an American soldier whose job it is to kill you after you kill his kids. Him not wanting to kill you.
Yeah, I'll go easier on you since you murdered my family.
Right.
What the heck?
It's so stupid.
See, I thought you were going to go with making it a false flag and making it look
No.
like Muslims killed them or something.
No, this
That
guy...
would have made sense.
This guy defends killing children in a school because they had to defend themselves...
Defend themselves against children.
Well, I guess more using like the children as a meat shield or something metaphorically. I don't know where this makes any fucking sense to anybody.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's fucking bananas.
That is fucking insane.
So that's kind of the end of Todd's whole thing. Because the rest of it's just fighting and Cascader gets created, whatever.
Weird how in our perfect country we're building, we're going to kill pedophiles on sight. But, let's do some, just side mission child murder. And we're still the good guys.
Yeah.
Maybe children are props that you use to just do whatever the hell you want.
Like Alex Jones. We're done with Todd. We're going to back out a layer back to Hansen, who's actually been telling all of these stories anyway.
Weird.
It's
this
really...
is just weird.
Yeah. Hansen's part of the story is mostly just like cultural sharing, like how Cascadia works. But it kind of comes off as just like Norse virtue signaling. Or like pop culture Norse virtue signaling. For this character, there's like a total lack of imagination around this character. Anyone who disagrees with him does not make an argument any stronger than like, nuh-uh, and then are shocked by the power of facts and logic. Anyone with like a pride flag or anything is just virtue signaling or just trying not to get canceled. And anyone who openly supports trans people actually hate them secretly. So while he's talking to Agent Marsh, he asks how old he thinks civilization is. And he does like a funny little trick here.
Yeah, this sounds like a trick question.
Well, it's not a trick question, but it is...
Fickle?
No, he's doing a trick. He's not setting a trap, he's doing a trick.
Okay.
So basically what he does is he claims that civilization is between 5,000 and 6,000 years old, as if that is the mainstream view.
All right.
It is not the mainstream view.
Okay.
Mainstream view dates it back much further than that. There is an archaeological site that dates back to like 13,000 years ago. It's called Göbekli Tepe. It's in Turkey. But he's setting this up as if that is the mainstream view, that civilization started between 5,000 and 6,000 years ago. And what he's actually getting this confused with is a different factoid. He's getting it confused with Mesopotamia inventing writing.
Oh.
So I don't know whether he's accidentally misremembering this or purposely.
Instead of saying civilization instead of literacy?
Right.
Or writing?
Yeah, he doesn't say
or
anything
reading?
about writing. He thinks that Mesopotamia is the beginning of civilization. There's like a whole conversation to be had as to what a civilization is. Is a civilization 100,000 people or is it like 50? He doesn't go into that.
I mean, because I've read the little thing, the meme on Facebook or whatever that said the first time they found a set bone was the beginning of civilization because it showed that humans cared for other humans and didn't treat each other the way animals treat each other.
Yeah, that's an argument.
That's just like one of those little factoids. But like that would be when humans first gained, sentience and consciousness and empathy toward other humans.
Right.
That'd be a long time ago.
But it all depends on like your definition of what society or like civilization is.
Right.
And this guy just kind of goes back and forth on what his definition is without actually saying it. So the trick he's pulling is attributing an archaeological narrative to mainstream that it actually doesn't hold, and then providing an actual truthful claim.
Oh, kind of like the people who are like evolutionists believe.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he points out an alleged 15,000-year-old pre-Clovis culture site in Idaho. And it's an actual site. It's got like arrow points and stuff like that. There's a lot of neat stuff there. Like there's very little evidence of a culture pre-Clovis in North America. So it's actually really neat. But he claims that the site was discredited in order to hide the truth, that if they dug any further, they would find 100,000 years of human history there. And I can't find any truth to that site actually being discredited. From everything I was able to look up, it's just an ordinary archaeological site.
Okay.
At this point, he completes the racist bingo card of trying to rewrite North America's history to make it more white, like the Mormons.
Oh.
And so many others. There's actually like a really rich history in America of trying to make it more white.
Is this like Leif Erikson came over and then a whole bunch of Vikings were actually the ones who were here
there are
back
claims
when,
that
or whatever?
Yeah. So it kind of goes into that. It doesn't really go into it like a whole lot of detail, but there's like a whole lot of stuff like that. There are Chinese culturalists that believe that it was a Chinese sailor that actually discovered America. There is an Islamic sect that thinks that
No one can simply accept that native peoples were here,
Right.
and then colonists from the old world came here and took over.
So that's like a whole layer right there.
Wow.
I read another book for more information on pretty much just that and this stuff, because I already kind of have a big interest in archaeology, so I didn't need much excuse anyway.
Right. Helped relieve some of the tension around this book.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is the cultural belief for Hansen and Cascadia in general, believing that North America is not the new continent, which it never was.
It was always here.
Right.
They just didn't know about it.
But they think that it is the continent where humanity started.
I don't... Even as an evangelical, young earth creationist, I never heard that or believed that. What?
Yeah. He doesn't go into it. After this, he just starts...
The racist creationists I grew up with said it came out of Africa.
I don't know where this guy gets this idea from. It's wild.
Weird.
But what he does next, he starts like bringing up like random sites that have like conspiracy theories attached to them. He pulls a Laurel Ingalls Wilder and posits that North America was basically empty when Europeans arrived.
Ah, yes. We drove them out, and then, hey, there's all this empty land.
Yeah. Which is super not true. Like,
Well,
Native
no.
Americans had, like, actual cities.
And weren't there, like, millions of Native Americans here before, like,
Yeah, surely.
smallpox wiped out a lot of them, and diseases and war and all this other stuff?
Yep, sure were. Anyway. So, he brings up a Roman fort in Oklahoma. Have you ever heard of that?
This is tickling my brain.
I couldn't find shit about it.
I think I've heard of it as a rumor. Didn't they find like a Roman coin buried under a foundation or
Probably.
some such, and that was proof that the Romans were here?
Probably. But like everything else is probably just a fraud like all the rest of them were.
Or it was somebody had a Roman coin and dropped it out of his pocket when he was laying the foundation for his house.
Right. So there's that one. I couldn't find anything about that. I have no idea what that's about. I just assumed this guy just made that shit up. But he says there was a Roman fort in Oklahoma. I don't know what that's about. Then he brings up a Celtic Stonehenge in New Hampshire. Now that actually is a site, and it's got a lot of contention about it because it's very clearly not actually Celtic at all. It's just a bunch of rocks.
Oh.
kind of made to make like a stone shelter and like living area and stuff like that. And most people think it's Europeans that did it whenever they came over, but there's no reason that it also couldn't have been Native Americans that just moved rocks around.
Right.
There's no reason they couldn't. These are very movable rocks.
It's kind of like I follow a fake archaeological Facebook page.
Yeah, I follow that one too.
Yeah, and it showed...
Fraudulent Archaeological Wall of Shame or something.
Yes,
yeah.
I just found it really amusing, but it showed these two identical drawings, 3,000 miles apart. And it's like, my dude, it looks like the sun, and there's only so many geometrical shapes you can draw.
Right.
Like, we're limited in our imagination on geometrical shapes.
So he brings up that one. Then there's another one out of left field I couldn't find anything on. Copper mines in Michigan from 9000 BC. But here's the twist. Dug by red-haired giants.
Esau?
I don't know. I have heard like old legends and like conspiracy theories about red-headed giants in Lovelock Cave, that kind of thing. I've heard of that. But I have no idea what this was. There are contemporary copper mines in Michigan. I don't know what the fuck this guy's on about. I couldn't find anything on it.
No clue.
So, as usual throughout this entire thing, he's just saying shit, it seems like.
Is most of this dialogue, monologue, interlogue?
Most of this is just Hansen expositing to other characters.
So
mostly Marsh.
It is mostly monologue.
Yeah.
Like, people aren't interacting with him. They're just
No.
listening to
Well,
him.
every now and then they'll like interrupt during something, and it's like a token. Hey, that shit you said was real racist for a second. Can you explain that? And then he'll explain it, and then they're like, oh, okay.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
The straw man, just fell over.
So then he claims that the Devil's Tower rock formation is Yggdrasil. Have you seen this thing on the internet where people think that rocks is trees?
Yes! I love that one!
This is that.
I love that one. That is my favorite.
He thinks that the Devil's Tower rock formation is Yggdrasil, the world tree in Celtic and Norse mythology.
Okay.
So then he goes into basically what they believe is that Earth has had multiple Armageddons or Ragnaroks or whatever.
And that's where all these giant mountains that look like trees came from?
Right, I guess. I don't know.
Fun. Okay,
But then he brings up another concept, like out of nowhere, doesn't explain it. He says that race memory is a thing, and they get better at fighting and learning on a cellular level.
This is just more Alex Jones bullshit.
Yeah.
He's been going on about that for like the last couple of years.
Oh god, I didn't even bring up the luciferase. That's a whole thing.
That too.
Yeah, no, that's like way early in the story. I'm not bringing it up because it's fucking stupid.
No, it's just so stupid. Lightbringer, devil DNA, and the COVID vaccine.
God, it's so fucking stupid. I could punch a French guy in the mouth. I looked that up, and it's just some French guy that just thought it was a neat name.
It is. It just reacts to light, and that's why they use it in labs.
Yeah. So,
Oh God.
at this point in the story, they've already moved locations like several times, but now they're at like a senator's house, Marsh and Hansen, where an evil wizard tries to get answers out of Hansen using peasant magic, quote unquote.
Okay.
But Hansen blocks it with his super cool Viking magic. And then he kills the wizard with a knife.
I thought he was a prisoner.
Yeah, no. There was like this whole stupid bit. They were like, do you want to be a prisoner or do you want to surrender? And effectively the only difference is if he officially surrendered, he got to hold on to his pocket knife. And he also got to like walk around and not be in handcuffs the entire time.
Are you gonna play nice?
Pretty much.
We only touch gentle. Be gentle. Use your words.
So, yeah, that whole thing's dumb. Yeah, he kills the wizard. That whole thing is dumb. Several times magic is brought up, but even this right here, like, nothing actually happens. Like, for some reason, that this peasant magic can't do anything to him because of his magic. So nothing actually happens in physical space. It's just
And he
this
doesn't
bunch
even
of guys.
use magic to kill the wizard.
No. Later on, for this, but also another attempt to try to get information out of Hansen without him actually going in front of the globalist leaders, they just pick him up and beat the shit out of him.
Okay. I mean...
Yeah, I'm fine with that. This guy sucks. So 3 days later, he's returned to Marsh's custody, so Marsh calls a nurse friend to come fix him up.
Okay.
God damn it.
Ooh,
I'm so
quotes.
tired.
Quotes.
This is gonna be like, this is second only to the child murder thing.
Oh no.
How bad this is.
Oh.
Especially for you. You might personally find this very bad.
Okay. I'm hanging on.
So this bit of quotes is from before he gets taken off and having the shit beat out of him. And he's talking to Marsh. So he asks Marsh if he's ever been in a threesome. He says, "That is a very common male fantasy. For most average men, if you had achieved power or fame, that wouldn't even be difficult. Plenty of very attractive women are willing to line up for whatever slim chances they have at a taste of power. The fact that their own sexual coin has been cheapened near worthlessness means nothing except they will pony up to more. Highborn women..." God damn it. Highborn women, they might go fuck some street trash or become the willing orifice in a gangbang. Whatever would have upset their father the most. You know, when you go to a gangbang, the first thing you're thinking about is how your dad feels about it, right? It's so fucking weird.
The misogyny doesn't even make sense.
No,
in this.
it doesn't.
This isn't even normal make sense misogyny in that, I don't like women's stupid. This doesn't even keep within his own worldview of weirdness.
Okay, the point of this whole bunch of quotes isn't even the misogyny. The real misogyny is after he comes back from having the shit beat out of him and he's talking to this nurse. But this is kind of just misunderstanding how the world of kink and then the crime of pedophilia work together.
Okay.
So after that, he says, next step is usually an evolution in kink sadism. And then he says, who can afford the luxury of a sex dungeon? People who have an extra 500 square feet to devote to hidden fetishes, elaborate gamesmanship based on procreation. However, this soon loses its luster. Next evolution into things no mortal could ever afford, so forbidden their cost is almost impossibly high. He's talking about pedophilia and cult behavior. This is where the cult behavior comes from. Ritual sacrifice. Now that is too taboo. Burning children you bought from the third world to please your gods. The peasants would string you up from lampposts.
Is this the Pizzagate stuff?
Yeah, it's the Pizzagate shit.
Okay.
These new kinks, because he doesn't understand that pedophilia is not a kink, because children
it's a
cannot
disorder.
consent.
Yeah.
These new kinks cannot be engaged at will. Keeps it fresh. You can't rape children at a hotel in Nebraska. You need to go to a special island in the Caribbean and pay a sufficient tax to keep it from coming to light.
That's not
Epstein.
even true either.
Yeah.
Again, for example, the Catholic Church, the Southern Baptist Convention.
Yeah, all these other places
all
that
of these
do pedophilia.
organizations that have covered up.
The Boy Scouts.
Yes. All of the reasons I don't trust any organization to actually protect my kids. I have to be there.
So this next bunch of quotes is from after he gets back from having the shit beat out of him and this nurse is trying to sew him up and stuff. And she has a distaste for him because he comes from Cascadia, and Cascadias are very well known for being misogynists. So he's trying to convince her otherwise. She says, I live in a place where women are free. You live in a place where women are enslaved. Oh, my sweet summer child. God, I fucking hate this character. My own wife, Carrie, would get quite a chuckle out of that. I assure you, she's nobody's slave, certainly not mine. Maybe not your wives, but you do have sex slaves. It's just like the Handmaid's Tale. I read about it in Vogue, and that was a weird line to stick in this character's mouth.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just because she's the only woman in this story besides the trans person. He just had to insert Vogue because women read Vogue, I guess, or something.
But also, what is she talking about? Like, is there a system like Handmaid's Tale in Cascadia?
Yeah, kind of. Well, we'll get into it.
Oh, okay.
He explains it pretty thoroughly. Well, kinda.
This Cascadia is just sounding lovelier and lovelier. Really shows you what his
So
dreamscape looks like.
Yeah. So he goes on and says, our women are shield maidens. And just because you call your wives shield maidens doesn't mean you're not being a misogynist.
Right.
They bear and raise warriors. My wife would cut my bollocks off with my own axe if I even suggested using a sex slave or a second wife. And
Okay.
the lady says, I don't believe you. Fair, I wouldn't fucking believe him either.
Yeah.
And then he asks, do you know what the only condition we had for the Mormons in New Canaan when we negotiated their sovereignty along with our own from your government? So there was a group of Mormons that wanted to join Cascadia and still be Mormon, but the Cascadians had a condition, and that is polygamy never be allowed. So it's weird that he brings that up, but he does not bring up child brides.
Right, because
that's also a thing that Mormons are known for.
Yeah. Well, and why does he think misogyny is only expressed through polygamy?
Because he doesn't know what the fuck it is.
Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So he's trying to convince her or whatever. He says, we have a patriarchal society, but only to a point. It's been said in derogatory tones that we do not see our women as equal to our men. That is true. Sorry, that always gets me. End of the sentence there.
You might argue I am racist.
I am, but... that is true. We don't, but we also don't see our men as equal to our women. We're never gonna let them run our affairs in state. We're also never gonna attempt to run their houses. So they're equal citizens as long as they stay in the house.
Mm-hmm.
In the
Separate
kitchen.
but equal.
Yeah. But women this time. The male of the species is more physically dominant. Mentality and abilities protect society as a whole, starting in his own household. The father's sword that ensures his daughter is never abused and nothing more. So basically, you just get to be an absentee father and your wife has to take care of all the household chores. So that sucks.
Right.
The daughter is raised by the morals of her mother and father and subject to their governance until she is 21. Or earlier. It doesn't say how early.
Oh, like when she gets married, and it'll be whenever they decide to marry her off?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
pretty much.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, there's no limit on how young they can be.
Right.
But after they turn 21, it's totally their decision, not their parents at all.
They become sort of equal.
At 21, she may do whatever she wishes. Not really, no. At 21, she may do whatever she wishes. Culture takes care of the rest. The married women of a village will only so long tolerate a free spirit, especially if that free spirit also happens to be a bit too flirtatious. There are a few villages entirely of single women. I don't know how to tell this guy that's a village of lesbians because they can't stand any of these men.
Yeah, and who would want to?
But they suffer badly in trade. The vast majority eventually succumb to societal norms. Then he says,
he could... This is his own imagination. He could just say...
Yeah, he can write this however the fuck he wants.
He could just say, nobody ever rebels or leaves because we make everybody perfectly happy.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason for him to do it this way.
Yeah. But yeah, basically just cutting off women's options from fucking anything but being a house mom. Mm-hmm. Is basically all it is. So then he starts going on why abortion is bad and stuff like that, and what's wrong with the United States' policies on such things. Your society has removed all the consequences from women's decisions. If they sleep around, they don't get pregnant because of birth control. If they do get pregnant, they can have an abortion. If they get pregnant and keep the child, you can make the man pay child support without even attempting to marry him or build a household. If you do get pregnant, get married, get divorced, you can make him pay alimony. And if you're terrible with your money and decisions, you can still rely on the state to pay you money just for existing.
So, more, we hate you if you have the baby, we hate you if you don't have the baby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, unless you fit into exactly this box, you're the worst.
Yep.
So that's basically how this guy is doing it. He's like saying, our women aren't our slaves, they just don't have any options but to do what we say.
Right.
or we make their lives a living hell.
And it's ignoring, just like with the trans person. We are going to build a society that will make you so miserable you would rather die. Mm-hmm. And then turn it on the person and say, it's your fault you're depressed. Mm-hmm. It's your fault you're having a hard time in this society. Yeah. Look at our perfect society we've built. Mm-hmm. You're the one having a problem.
Yeah, after all the ones that couldn't handle it fucking killed themselves.
So does this guy really go on about my freedoms and Second Amendment and all that kind of stuff? Because those are the people who I don't understand having these kind of fantasies.
Yeah, he doesn't really go on about freedoms. Like, clearly freedom of the press isn't important to him.
Right, they were torching journalists.
I'm sure Second Amendment is probably important to him, but he doesn't really go into rights. This is more just
this really is Christian nationalist, except he doesn't care if it's Christian.
Right, it's nationalism, but Viking flavored.
Which is just really weird.
It's really stupid. It's like nationalism, but more racist.
Right.
Like, I think just regular nationalism, that could be racially inclusive.
Yeah.
Potentially. It's often not,
America first, America best, rah, rah, rah.
Yeah.
But you can still, we're the melting pot. We, all colors, creeds, and races are welcome.
Yeah.
And we just hate everyone else, But this is
This is a Euro.
This is a weird blender of bizarre ideas.
It's European American nationalism.
Yeah. Make him go back where he came from.
Yeah.
Send him to Denmark or something.
Yeah. God, they wouldn't fucking have him. Now we're going to start getting into sexual value.
Which means what exactly? Sexual value.
Well, I'll get into it.
Oh, boy.
So basically, a lot of these policies in this society are to prevent their women from becoming like the women of the remaining United States. First, a nationwide ban on birth control. That means sexual promiscuity has consequences. Most of our women eventually figure out their cycles if they get pregnant. This guy doesn't know how women work.
Okay.
Most of our women. Yeah. If he did, he probably tried to hit it with a knife or something. Stab. And then he thought it was a period. He's like, oh, I get it now. Okay. Most of our women eventually figure out their cycles. If they get pregnant, it's usually because they choose to. But it still scares the young women out of wanton sexual encounters. Because that has never fucking happened ever.
What?
Yeah, this guy doesn't know.
Does he think we can just turn it off?
But also, that's just not how teenagers work. Their brains aren't fully developed. They don't think things through. That's why there are so many teenage pregnancies, you fucking idiot.
In this society, you're going to have so much sexual violence, and men will rape women to force them to get married to them and be their house slaves.
Yeah.
That's what happens in societies like this.
Yeah, like in the Bible. Like if somebody was assaulted, they had to pay for the woman that they raped so that they could marry them.
And then they just have that woman, and she has no other options.
Sorry, I got tired there. I'm so tired.
I'm tired. How much is left?
We're getting there. We're pretty close. So when a woman is to be wed in this culture or reaches her coming of age, a ceremony is held in public. One of the questions she must answer is how many lovers has she had?
Virginity testing?
Public virginity testing.
Oh my god.
That's not the worst part. So, number one, more than 5 is quite scandalous. So that's prudish and shitty. So I'm betting you're asking yourself, why not just lie about how many people you've slept with?
Did they ask the men to come forward?
No.
Oh.
It's actually worse. I don't know why the fuck this guy thinks that this would be... Like, surely he's afraid of, like, secret police or, like, the black baggers or something like that.
Yeah.
Why not just lie? Because we have the Crypteia, a secret body tasked with policing morality and subversion.
What the
One of its tasks is picking young girls at random and keeping an eye on them.
you do realize this is like part of the Sharia law people throw a tantrum about, is they actually have women police who police other women's bodies and who will do virginity testing and all that crap. He just wants no girls to ever have fun. No girls are ever allowed to leave the house or do anything fun ever.
Right. Well, they're not being violent, so why would they get to do anything else, I guess?
To meet this guy, I showed him a violent girl.
So, lying about your number means a tattoo on the web of the hand of an L and no marriage license.
So you have to hold it up to your head and it says, liar, liar.
I guess so, yeah. Well, I mean, that's just the letter, the scarlet letter, yeah.
Yeah.
Not to mention, this would seriously downgrade your value.
Because women are
to potential husbands. It might seem unfair, but overall, our system serves to not deflate women's sexual power, but to inflate it. Yeah, I'm sure that's your interest if that's the only thing you think women are for.
It's like guys who get held up on whether their wife was a virgin when they got married.
Oh yeah, there's a whole nother section that I'm skipping, just going over like this fucking incel logic, because at this point he's like trying to justify the existence of prostitutes in his society. Like they're on
prostitutes? He allows prostitutes?
Yeah, but they're like on the bottom, like the bottomest of the bottom rung of society. And the reason that they're allowed is because it keeps young men from going crazy. Is the whole reason that they're permitted. They're also fuck, I almost forgot about that. They're also fuck.
Take your time. It's okay.
Before they go into that profession, they get sterilized because they're not crazy enough to let whores be mothers. This guy's fucking disgusting.
Like, I listen to Knowledge Fight because Dan and Jordan listen to Alex Jones and break it down. And so you have this wonderful filter in the form of Dan Friesen. And he kind of does like you're doing now, kind of helps explain and put into perspective. And so, I also like watch Emma Thorne on YouTube, and she goes into conspiracy theories and makes fun of them. And it's hilarious, and I love her. But I don't know if I've ever heard so many wrong-headed ideas in one place, from one person at one time.
Like I said, I had to read this 4 times because I could not fucking believe it. Like, I felt like I was missing some sarcasm first couple of times I read it.
Yeah, like almost like a Poe.
Right.
Like, I'm going to go on YouTube and let it autoplay. And I'm going to take 3 minutes of ideas from every single video, and we're going to put into a book every harebrained, batshit, insane idea that comes out of this.
Yeah.
Does he believe in a flat earth?
Oh, damn, I don't know.
That's the only one
probably.
we haven't come across yet.
So yeah, last little bit from this section, I think. So he says, we believe only a fool would let women vote in the affairs of state. It is an aberration of nature in our world. Women exercise soft power as they have from time immemorial.
No.
They have characteristics that make them complements of men, but not equals to men.
This guy is a true asshole.
Yeah, he is actually the fucking worst.
He is actually the worst.
Yeah. I don't know if you've noticed, but this is like not my usual style.
Because you had to do research on this, buddy.
Yeah. Usually I'm just like the vibes guy, but this felt so nakedly gross.
Like, this was too important to just come in with
vibes. I don't know that this will be like a very good episode, but I feel, to me, this is a very important episode to have.
Right. Oh.
So that's why I've been like stressing about this, because I just wanted it to, yeah. That basically finishes up
the manifesto part of it.
Yeah, most of the manifesto stuff. We get to the actual end of the story. So Hansen gets taken to Villain HQ, basically. Finally meets the globalists. And the one that sticks out the most is a Rothschild person, or a Rothschild man. And that's another living anti-Semitic dog whistle. and Hansen gets threatened to be turned into a series of vaginas or something.
Okay.
It's okay. So what the deal is, the Rothschild guy is like this crazy sex deviant or something. That's the descent into...
He's not a human?
No, he's a human, but he's like obsessed with like sexual deviancy. That he's kind of the end product of what this guy was talking about at that first bunch of quotes. Yeah, where he was talking about kink developing into sadism, developing into pedophilia. So that's what this Rothschild character is, basically. So he's just obsessed with assaulting everyone and threatens to give Hansen a vagina and then cut off those arms and legs and put vaginas on those. It's very silly.
That is the stupidest threat I've ever heard of in my life.
It's really dumb. These villains
Does he
are
not
like...
realize that people just can, like, do it to his butt?
Yeah. Probably. I don't know what this guy thinks. I'm going to try in the future to never think about what this man thinks about ever again. So, yeah, these characters, these villains are just two-dimensional Batman villains. Like, they're barely even there. They barely slip into two-dimensionality, much less three.
Right.
This whole message that has been built up throughout the course of the story was just Hansen telling them to stop using 7G and then a bunch of other buzzwords like COVID conspiracy or luciferase and shit.
Oh, yeah, because the 5G
yeah,
and the COVID
that was a whole thing.
was the thing in in 2020.
So you can imagine how bad the 7G is.
Oh, yeah, we must be growing
that's
extra
like
heads.
That's
and
like a whole.
antenna.
That's like a whole extra 2Gs in the last 30 years.
Right.
Obviously, they refuse because that's fucking stupid. Hansen then explodes his cancer body that is also filled with a fungal virus, because at first he explodes and they're like, oh, he's trying to suicide bomb us, but it's like a small explosion and all it does is just like splatter blood everywhere.
Okay.
So they just think it's a failed suicide bomb,
right.
but he actually infects them with a disease, and then weeks later they figure it out, and then they die. And then Hansen dies, and he gets picked up by a Valkyrie. I had Lily go through my notes, and she just wrote boo at that part. Mm-hmm. And then at the rest of the end, I think Marsh like goes to Cascadia or something like that with the nurse. Which the nurse, at the end of her conversation with Hansen, super did not like him.
Right.
Or agree with him at all, so I don't know why the fuck she's going. I guess she molded over and thought, this misogyny thing sounds pretty cool.
I would like to give up my right to vote and make my own choices and have a career.
Yeah, I feel like I didn't sit on that whole taking their right to vote away, because I feel like that he's trying to like go back to this fake golden era where women didn't vote and thinks that they were happier there.
The other thing that this is reminding me of, though, is Just Pearly Things on YouTube. I don't know if you've seen videos. She interviewed Alex Jones, or he interviewed her at one point. But she's like, yeah, I don't think women should drive because I don't like driving. I don't think women should vote because I don't vote.
That's crazy.
Everyone thinks that she is doing it on purpose to get attention.
Oh, she's like doing a bit.
But she went too far and lost all of her friends, and no one likes her, and she's actually really stupid, and she talks about how growing up she was much less intelligent than her siblings.
Yeah.
And this was like, people think she was a normal person and then got into these troll like communities online.
Yeah, I've heard of a couple of those. But yeah.
But this really makes me think of like he found her and was like, aha, woman with ideas that are extreme. I will take those. And then I see there is a woman who liked this idea. The transformed wife, Lori Alexander, she has a lot of those same ideas. She gets around it by saying, well, it's okay if a woman votes if she votes the same as her husband, because that's doubling his vote.
That's funny, yeah. Yeah, not shocked there. But yeah, this kind of just skips over the entire reason that women, like back in the 50s, had to start advocating for themselves, and it's because they were getting the shit beat out of them at home and nobody cared.
Yeah.
yeah, this kind of just undoes all that. Like, he's pointing out all these allegedly terrible things, like abortions and stuff like that, just not at all aware of how women were treated in the past, or are still treated now.
Or he's aware and he doesn't care. He
Right.
thinks that is fine.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like this guy is just incredibly stupid, and he doesn't dig any deeper than, like, surface level. Mm-hmm. So,
I mean, nothing in this indicates intelligence.
no, it certainly doesn't. So, yeah, that's the end of the book.
Wow.
Yeah. And in my opinion, this is the worst book I've ever read.
This is one of the worst books you've ever told me about. Mm-hmm. I don't think this deserves a grade. I think this deserves a go to jail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one goes to jail. Mm-hmm. No, this one gets fed tofu and becomes increasingly feminized until it's gay. That's the treatment for this book, because it would hate that.
Let's see. He's forced to watch chick flicks. And
he has to watch the Barbie movie on repeat.
Yes.
And eat soy ice cream.
Yes. And have the what is the burger at the Whopper that's fake meat?
Oh, the Beyond Meat.
Yeah, he's forced to have a Beyond Meat burger.
Honestly, I fucking love those. Those are good.
But it's not manly. Did you see that thing a while back where Chick-fil-A introduced cauliflower nuggets? And it was just to give a vegetarian option.
Right.
And they would fry them like, I don't know, in a separate thing, so they were vegetarian.
Surely that's like a Lent thing, right?
But because so many right-wing evangelicals are their support base, they were like, you're becoming too woke.
Oh my God.
By having a vegetarian option, and they removed it from their menu.
Oh my God. I just realized I forgot an entire section of notes. Hold on.
Fucking hell, what? No!
I'll try it. I'll make it quick. I swear to God, I'll make it quick.
I'm gonna kill you.
Fuck. Okay, yeah, there's a whole section on vegetarianism.
What?
And,
no!
This guy thinks that eating, like, animal protein is like taking steroids.
No! He's one of those, like the Liver King idiot?
Yeah.
Oh, no!
He thinks that eating bugs is like using that as like using that as like a protein source. That is like the globalists like making an insult at people.
Oh my God!
And then he attributes Genghis Khan's domination over Imperial China on the fact that he was living on like a diet of yak milk. Never mind the fact that he was a military fucking genius.
Yeah, it was just the yak milk.
Right. But it's because he's Asian, so he's got to attribute to something else besides him being a military genius.
Right, because they're the subservient race or whatever.
Right. And he says that they were just towering over the Chinese populace at the time because they were they were being forced into a big vegetarian diet. And that just totally ignores like the entire cultural thing of like Buddhism and stuff that promotes a lot of vegetarianism. He just blames it on the government because he's fucking dumb. So yeah, I had to get that out. I forgot to transcribe that to my new notes.
He read a refutation of the China study. That was that vegetarian study that people have argued about, but it showed that low-calorie vegetarian eating prolonged the lifespan of mice by like a lot.
Yeah, probably.
And then if you extrapolate that to humans could live to like 120 if you had a low-calorie vegetarian diet or something. But then people turn around and was like, well, you can't apply mice studies to humans like this, and da-da-da-da-da, and humans will feel starvation and then eat more and then hang on to their fat cells and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah,
but when I was back
bullshit.
into the super crunchy mama stuff, that was a big thing that I read about a lot.
We can talk about that later. I just had to get that whole thing out because that shit was fucking crazy.
Yeah, that's insane.
So yeah, fuck this book. It sucks. It's bad. It goes to vegan gay hell or whatever.
That is so funny that I just kind of brought up the vegetarian thing as like a joke. And that was actually something he hated.
God,
that's also an Alex Jones thing of you will eat the bugs, and that's like the evil globalists will make you eat cricket flour in your brownies.
Yeah, I don't think Alex Jones can stand up unless his blood pressure is high enough to like stand up his fucking body. He works like a spider, and he works off of hydraulic pressure, and that's how he moves around.
Oh, his face is so red all the time.
But yeah, that I think that's a good way to end the episode. What did you think?
I think you did as good a job as you could because this was terrible.
Yeah.
This is just propaganda, and like,
It really
I'm
is.
sorry if this like episode wasn't funny. It's very, very hard to make propaganda funny. Like, you can debunk it, you can argue with it, you can say it's nonsensical, you can point out its logical fallacies, but you can't really make it funny except for just pointing and laughing and saying, haha, this is stupid.
Honestly, that is kind of the way to kill stuff like this. Is just point at how fucking goofy and stupid these people are.
Right, because there's just
and no one
not
will
much
take
else
them
to
seriously.
do.
Like, if everyone thinks that if you agree with this guy, you're going to get laughed at, they're a lot less likely to agree with their stupid-ass worldview.
Right.
I'll stop ranting now.
You will lower your blood pressure.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to my nonsense bugs.
No thanks to you.
Yeah.
No thank you. I what's the opposite of thank? That to you.
Get fucked and die in vegan hell or something. Thank you, listeners, for
being here and
listening to
us.
this. If you did, you're a fucking trooper. You're my
if
hero.
you made it to the end of this, you are one in a million, man.
If you made it to the end, comment and let me know, because I would like to know that someone listened to this in full, and this was not all for naught.
Right. God.
It would make me feel really good about my decision to do this book, so I would appreciate it.
But at least you can set it aside and never look at it again.
Yay!
Yay! We'll see you next time.
Bye.